This is the story of Noah, who gets reincarnated as the 13th Imperial Prince. And guys, his power is completely infinite. He can level up his strength as much as he wants without ever hitting a cap. So let us dive in and see exactly how far Noah pushes his limits. At the start of the story, our hero opens his eyes to find a woman standing right in front of him. He looks down and realizes his hands are super tiny, exactly like a baby's. He quickly checks his status screen and is totally shocked to see that he has dropped all the way back to level 1. Just then, a huge, broad-shouldered man walks into the room. This guy is the Emperor. Hearing them talk, our hero is completely thrown off. He has no clue what is happening to him. But guys, the truth is, our hero has just been reincarnated. When it comes time to name the baby, the Emperor officially names him Noah, making him the 13th Prince of the Empire. After that, the Emperor asks someone about the baby's magical affinity. The man replies that the baby has the water element. Because of this, the Emperor declares Noah the heir to the Almeria territory, a land famous for its massive waterfalls. The Emperor then asks to see the baby's skills. A priest named Kruz pulls up the baby's status window. Guys, Noah's water ability is actually a double S rank. Noah himself is completely blown away when he sees it, and everyone else in the room is just as stunned. It is practically unheard of for anyone to be born with a rank that high, and just like that, the epic journey of our hero Noah begins as a reincarnated noble prince. We then find out that this whole place is the Mirasian Empire, which stretches across a massive mountain range. It is an incredibly wealthy empire filled with rich folks. The emperor ruling over it has 14 sons, all known as the Imperial Princes. Fast forward a bit, and we see that Noah is now 6 years old. To everyone else, his status window looks totally normal, but to Noah, it shows an S+ rank for his water magic. On top of that, he has another crazy hidden ability. The more people believe in him and become his loyal followers, the stronger he gets. And the best part? There is absolutely no limit to this power. He can keep growing stronger forever. After getting Noah dressed, his maid praises him, saying he is such a good kid and completely different from the others. A little while later, while Noah is eating breakfast, another maid named Evelyn comes in and tells him that the Crown Prince and the 4th Prince are here to see him. Hearing this, Noah heads out to meet his brothers. Guys, meet Albert, the Crown Prince, and Henry, the 4th Prince. Albert tells Noah that they brought a gift for him. Right after, a guy walks in nervously holding a small case. When Noah sees what is inside, even he gets a little freaked out. It is a sword, but not just any sword. This blade has already taken countless lives. Noah cannot help but wonder why the Crown Prince would give him something like this as a present. As Noah reaches out and picks up the sword, the Crown Prince smirks and tells him that the blade is named Leviathan. It is the absolute most powerful water magic sword in the entire empire. But there is a huge catch. The sword actually chooses its own master. If someone it has not chosen tries to pick it up, it is an instant death sentence. However, the sword has clearly chosen Noah as its rightful owner. The Crown Prince gives Noah some praise and then heads out. Once they are outside, the 4th Prince, Henry, asks if it was really a good idea to hand over such a legendary sword. The Crown Prince replies that the sword chose him, which means the kid has real potential. He says it is better off staying with Noah. Later that night, Noah turns to his maid and asks her why she is looking so worried today. When Noah gently presses her to explain what is wrong, Juhi finally opens up and tells him that her hometown has been completely flooded. Because her mom got sick over there, she cannot work anymore. Now Juhi's relatives are trying to force her to go work in the red light district to take her mom's place. Hearing this, Noah says, "How about we just bring your mom here to the mansion? There is plenty of work she can handle. Plus, I own a small house on the western outskirts of the capital. You and your mom can live there together." Seeing Noah's incredible generosity, Juhi bursts into tears. She drops to her knees and thanks him profusely. In his head, Noah thinks, "She has been taking care of me for years. There is absolutely no way I am letting my own servant get sold off to a red light district. That goes entirely against my principles. Right after that, he calls in his butler, Dylan, and tells him, Juhi's hometown is severely flooded. I want you to head down there and buy up as much land as humanly possible so we can help out as many folks as we can. But Dylan hesitates, warning him, Master, buying up that much land is going to cost us around $700,000. To put that into perspective, guys, the average person in the capital only makes about $120 a year, and Noah's top-tier nurses pull in about $8,000 a year. Even if Noah liquidated every single asset he owns, he would only scrape together around $500,000. They are still $200,000 short. So, Noah makes a bold call. He is going to sell off the private land he owns down south. Dylan warns him, but the Emperor gave you that estate as a gift. Selling it off without his permission could land you in some serious hot water. Noah just brushes it off, saying he is more than willing to take the heat if it means keeping his people happy. Hearing that, Dylan sincerely thanks Noah, revealing that he is actually from the exact same village as Juhi. The very next day, while Noah is getting his things in order, the fourth prince, Henry, stops by to see him. Henry asks if he is heading out somewhere. Noah tells him that he is making a trip down to the flooded town to buy some land. Henry then changes the subject and asks if Noah can feel any sort of connection or energy from that new sword. Noah shakes his head and says no. Henry gets serious and warns him, From what I know about that blade, it strictly chooses its own master and absolutely refuses to listen to anyone else. Anyone who tries to force it to do their bidding ends up dead. So seriously, do not try to use that sword, or it will kill you. Cut to the next scene, and the crew has finally arrived at the flooded town. Noah tells Dylan to head over to the local government office and grab a full roster of everyone living in the village. He says, We are going to provide a brand new place for these people to live, and Juhi, you are coming with me. The two of them throw on some disguises and slip quietly into the heart of the village. They see that the Empire is supposedly handing out food rations to the helpless locals. But when Noah sneaks a taste of the stew himself, he realizes it is literally just hot water. Right at that moment, a local government officer rolls up in his carriage for an inspection. The cooks rush over and tell the officer that his premium meals have already been delivered to his personal mansion. Noah steps right up and calls him out. So, you guys are just straight up stealing the food meant for these villagers? The officer sneers and says, Look here, kid, do you not think you are talking a little too big for your size? I am out here helping these villagers by feeding these beggars. Geralt, the corrupt officer, and his goons burst out laughing, but Noah looks him dead in the eye and says, I absolutely despise people who use their power to bully the weak. Hearing that, Geralt gets furious and draws his sword, but in the very next second, guys, we see the Leviathan sword start to violently glow. It flies straight through the air right into Noah's hand. Just as Geralt is about to slash Noah, the legendary sword unleashes a fraction of its true power. The energy is so intense that even Noah struggles to hold on to it, taking a few minor scrapes in the process. Despite the blowback, Noah stands his ground and says, If we are born into this world with superior strength, we have a duty to use that power to protect those who were born weak. With those words, Noah fully grips the hilt and declares, From this moment on, you are my sword, Leviathan. The second Geralt lunges at him, Noah swings his blade and cleanly slices the guy's head right off. Geralt's soldiers immediately rush in to take Noah down, but Noah unleashes a massive shockwave attack that completely blows them away, leaving a giant crater in the ground. Right then, the captain of the local knights shows up. One of the surviving corrupt goons begs him, Save us! This crazy kid just murdered our guys. But the second the knight captain, a guy named Robin, sees Noah, he instantly drops to his knees and bows. It turns out, Robin was stationed in this area for security, and he is actually a direct servant of the fourth prince, Henry. When the rest of the crowd realizes that this kid is actually the 13th Imperial Prince, everyone is completely shell-shocked and immediately bows down before him. Noah addresses the crowd, explaining that he executed the officer because the man was pocketing the food meant for the starving villagers. "From now on, I want these people fed properly," he commands. Hearing this, the villagers are overjoyed and start loudly cheering Noah's name. But news of this incident eventually reaches the Crown Prince, Albert. When he hears about it, he just smirks and says, "So the sword really did accept Noah as its master. He is turning out to be way more useful than I thought." Shortly after, Noah is summoned by the Emperor and gives him a full rundown of the entire incident. The Emperor tells him he did a great job, adding that corrupt scum like that officer definitely deserved the death penalty. He then mentions hearing that Noah has somehow tamed the greatest water sword, Leviathan. When the Emperor pulls up Noah's status window to check his progress, he is absolutely stunned to see that Noah's water magic has skyrocketed to a SSS rank. The Emperor heaps praise on him, which leaves Noah feeling pretty good about himself. Next, we learn a bit more about the Mirasian Empire's capital, which serves as the heart of the national government. It is the most financially stable area in the entire empire, so wealthy that people literally call it the most prosperous city in the world. Noah is actually visiting the city today because he caught wind of some rumors about a singer with a genuinely incredible voice. Along the way, Noah takes a moment to appreciate Juhi's hard work, noting how brilliant she is and how she pays attention to every single little detail. Soon, Noah arrives at the venue and watches the girl singing from a balcony above. Juhi chimes in, telling him the girl's name is Alice and that she is insanely talented at what she does. Suddenly, a bald loan shark barges onto the stage and interrupts her set. He smirks and tells Alice she is just wasting her time singing, saying it will never be enough to pay off her father's massive debt. He then creepily touches her, commenting on her figure, and suggests she could pay off the debt much faster if she worked for him in a different way. Noah immediately steps in, marching right up to them. He looks the bald guy dead in the eye and asks if he forgot about Imperial Law 67, Article 2, which clearly states that children are not responsible for their parents' debts. Noah tells him that what he is trying to do is a straight-up crime. The bald guy loses it, grabs Noah by the collar, and starts cussing him out. Without missing a beat, Noah draws his sword and slashes the bald guy and his goons, leaving them bleeding. Terrified, the three thugs scramble away. Noah turns to Alice and tells her to let him know if those creeps ever bother her again. The whole crowd is left completely speechless, realizing this little kid is actually an imperial prince. Noah tells Alice he knows all about her situation, including the fact that she has been struggling to pay for her sick mother's medical treatments. He offers her a sweet deal. If she comes to work for him, he will pay her $25 a month just to focus on improving her singing. Alice is beyond thrilled and thanks him from the bottom of her heart. When Noah finally heads back to his mansion, he spots a group of guys loitering by the front gates and asks who they are. Evelyn explains that they are the lenders. Noah instantly recognizes them as the same loan sharks who were harassing Alice earlier. They showed up to beg for forgiveness for acting like such jerks. Noah just brushes them off, saying he does not have the time of day for them. Right on cue, the fourth prince, Henry, strolls up and agrees, saying it is a smart move since dealing with street trash like that is totally beneath a prince. While the two brothers are hanging out and talking, Noah explains his real strategy. He is deliberately ignoring the loan sharks so they stay paranoid that a prince is out to get them, which guarantees they will never dare to bother Alice again. Henry laughs and calls him a genius, noting that their other brothers, Frank and Gary, are around Noah's age but nowhere near as sharp, especially Gary, who takes forever to catch on to anything. We also get a little family backstory here. Even though all the imperial princes share the same father, they have different mothers. However, Noah and Henry are actually full-blooded brothers, which is why their bond is so much tighter. Henry then shifts the topic to the magic sword, asking if it is tough to control now that Noah has made it his servant. To answer, Noah effortlessly summons the blade, which completely blows Henry's mind. Noah then casually shrinks the sword down to the size of a tiny kitchen knife. Henry explains that the royal family has owned Leviathan for over 200 years, yet nobody has ever figured out its true capabilities until now. Meanwhile, the loan sharks end up waiting outside Noah's mansion until nightfall, The bald guy finally loses his patience and starts loudly cursing Noah out. Right at that moment, Henry and Noah step outside. Noah casually releases a wave of intense pressure from his sword, forcing the bald guy straight to his knees in pure terror. In the very next scene, Noah arrives at a fancy party alongside a noble named Radolf. As soon as Noah walks into the room, the entire crowd erupts into applause, giving him a massive welcome and showering him with compliments. Everyone is buzzing with shock and awe, realizing that this kid actually possesses the national treasure, the legendary sword Leviathan, which the crown prince gifted him. But then, some random guy in the crowd speaks up, doubting the sword and suggesting it is probably just a fake replica. So Noah decides it is the perfect time to show off exactly what his sword can really do. Noah unleashes a fraction of the sword's power, sending a wave of sheer terror through the crowd. Radolf immediately praises him, saying, "You are absolutely incredible, and the power in that blade is unreal." After seeing that display, everyone in the room is completely convinced that this is the genuine, legendary Leviathan. As for the guy who was talking trash earlier, he is still standing there shaking in his boots. After that, a bunch of high-profile folks, massive business tycoons, and top-tier traders line up just to greet Noah. While shaking hands, Noah zeroes in on a man and his daughter, instantly realizing the girl is adopted. He even points out that she used to be a slave. The man is surprised, but confirms it, saying, "You hit the nail on the head. I bought her as a slave, but she is incredibly sharp, so I have been raising and teaching her like my own daughter." Noah smiles and says, "I love hearing that. I will have to invite you two over to my mansion sometime." The father and daughter thank Noah and head out. Because Noah gave them his attention, the rest of the room starts focusing on the girl too. But right as they leave, Noah casually taps his sword, and the girl instantly senses it. Noah thinks to himself, "Ever since I released my sword's aura, that girl has been actively guarding that man. She is way more dangerous and capable than she looks." In the next scene, Noah is strolling through a local market when he bumps into Prince Oscar. Oscar stops and asks what he is up to. Noah shrugs and says he is just out for a walk. Oscar grins and says, "Well, if you do not have any plans, why not come on a treasure hunt with me?" The two of them head down to Pallet Street, an area famous for selling rare antiques. They spend some time digging around for hidden gems, but do not have much luck until Noah randomly buys an old book. Oscar's jaw drops. He realizes it is the Grimoire of Entry, an ancient and legendary sorcerer's spell book, a completely genuine treasure. Suddenly, Noah taps Leviathan against the book, and it springs open. A massive surge of dark magical energy erupts from it. This dark force actually has a mind of its own. It is the lingering spirit of an ancient, powerful sorcerer who used to control the wind. Oscar is absolutely terrified, but Noah stands his ground. He clashes with the spirit, slamming his sword down and generating an intense wave of pressure. The overwhelming force subdues the spirit, and the grimoire officially chooses Noah as its new master, giving him a massive boost in stats. Watching all this, Oscar is completely baffled, wondering how on earth Noah got so ridiculously strong. Just then, a guy walks up to them and introduces himself as Alan, the owner of a local antique shop. He says, "Prince, seeing what you just did, I have an item that might be right up your alley." He invites them into his shop and pulls out a ring. Alan explains, "The guy who sold me this claimed it would choose its own master, but it never did a single thing. I figured it was just garbage, but every time I tried to throw it away, it somehow ended up right back here." Noah slips the ring onto his finger, and instantly it starts glowing. A mysterious voice echoes in Noah's head saying, "You are my new master." Right before their eyes, the ring transforms into a piece of armor. Noah checks his status window, but weirdly enough, his stats have not changed at all. Noah tells Alan he will get the money to pay for it, but Oscar waves him off, saying, "Do not worry about it. I have got this one. Consider it a gift from me." After dropping his new gear off with Juhi, Noah turns to thank his brother Oscar. Out of nowhere, that same bald loan shark from earlier lunges at Noah in a surprise attack. But without breaking a sweat, Noah uses his new ring to project a magical shield, completely blocking the hit. The bald guy is quickly tackled and arrested. It turns out Noah has already managed to link the ring's power directly to his sword. Oscar is absolutely floored that Noah mastered the artifact that fast. Later, Noah heads back to the club to check on Alice's performance. By now, we know the bald guy who attacked him is locked up for good. But when Noah gets inside, he sees two random guys getting into a massive brawl over Alice, totally harassing her. Noah steps right into the middle of it, draws his sword, and teaches them a quick lesson. Terrified, the two guys bolt out the door. Noah turns to the club owner and tells him to ban those guys permanently. The owner hesitates, whining, "But Prince, guys like that are the ones keeping my business afloat. If I ban them, I lose money." Noah just looks at him and says, "Fine, I am buying your business." He tosses the owner $1,000 right on the spot. Alice is completely overwhelmed and asks, "Prince, how am I ever going to repay you for all of this? You have done so much for me." Noah gives her a warm smile and says, "I just love listening to your voice. Keep singing and consider your debt completely paid off." Hearing that, Alice breaks down in tears of pure joy, and for the first time, we get a clear look at her beautiful eyes. Noah takes a seat and Alice begins her set. As he listens, he thinks to himself, "I knew it. This girl is an absolute treasure." The very next morning, while Noah is getting ready, his staff tells him that Dad Manley, the Governor-General of the Holjo region, is here to see him. Noah tells them to send him right in. Guys, here is some quick context. In the royal family, whenever a prince is born, they are given a piece of territory so they can learn how to govern from a young age. The people living in that territory view that specific prince as their true king. Since Noah was made the heir to the Almeria territory, Dad Manley completely answers to him. Noah and Dad actually first met about 1.5 years ago when the Emperor officially appointed Dad as Governor General. Noah asks him for an update, knowing Dad was sent to Holjo to manage the aftermath of a massive flood. Holjo is an area with incredibly fertile farmland, but because it sits so close to the water, it constantly gets hit by severe flooding. Dad admits they are facing a massive roadblock. They have not received any government funding in a really long time, which has brought all their relief work to a dead stop. Hearing this, Noah does not waste a single second. He drags Dad straight to the capital to confront the Minister of Finance, a short, overweight, bald guy. Noah glares at him and demands to know exactly why Dad's relief funds are being withheld. Noah demands an answer, saying, "I want to know exactly what is going on here." Maverick, the finance minister, replies, "Holjo gets hit with floods every single year. That is precisely why our generous emperor completely eliminated their taxes. So, as far as I am concerned, they should be using the money they saved from not paying taxes to fund their own relief work." Noah fires back, "The emperor waived their taxes because they are totally broke. If they have zero money to begin with, what exactly are they supposed to use?" Maverick sighs and says, "Look, we just do not have any extra cash to send them right now. You do realize the emperor is getting older by the day, right? We are currently building him a massive summer villa so he can stay completely cool and comfortable when the heat hits. Constructing a luxury villa takes a fortune, so no, I do not have a single dollar to spare for Ted." Noah immediately snaps, "Are you out of your mind? A whole village has been completely destroyed, and instead of helping them, you are funding a summer house? Who do you think you are talking to? Do I look like an idiot? My father is not stupid either, and there is no way we are buying this excuse." Terrified by Noah's intensity, Maverick instantly drops to his knees. Sweating bullets, he stammers, I did not mean it like that, Prince. Please, do not worry. I will secure the funding for Holjo immediately." Watching Noah completely own the conversation, Ted is amazed. He says, "You are truly incredible, Prince. You brought the Minister of Finance to his knees with just a few words. I will never forget what you did for my people." After that, Ted heads back to get to work. Shortly after, a messenger arrives at Noah's mansion to tell him that the Emperor has requested an audience. When Noah arrives at the palace, the Emperor smiles and says, You handled that entire situation with the Holgo City Relief Fund perfectly. Noah plays it humble, saying, I just did what anyone else would have done, Father. But the Emperor gently pats Noah's head and replies, Perhaps. But for a 6-year-old kid to handle political matters that smoothly? In my eyes, that is practically impossible. By the way, I know Leviathan, the strongest water sword, has chosen you as its master. However, that sword has a pretty dark and violent history. To make sure you can control it, I have brought in a master swordsmanship instructor for you. The Emperor then introduces Damien Noble, the absolute greatest swordsman in the entire kingdom. You will be training under him, the Emperor states. But Damien steps forward and says, Your Majesty, if I may, I would like to have a quick sparring match with the prince right now, just so I can gauge his current skill level. Damien turns to Noah and says, Prince, feel free to attack me however you like. Noah charges in and launches an attack, but Damien blocks it effortlessly. Suddenly, Noah experiences a massive rush of memories, visions of how Leviathan's previous owner used the blade. Drawing on that ancient knowledge, Noah unleashes a powerful strike, locking swords with Damien and completely disarming the kingdom's greatest knight. His sword goes flying across the room. Damien immediately bows his head and says, Your Majesty, please forgive me, but I am simply not qualified to teach the prince. He may only be 6 years old, but his talent is absolutely terrifying. Hearing this, the Emperor bursts out laughing. You really are something else, Noah, he says. How would you feel about being the head judge for this year's knight selection exam? Noah bows and says, I will do my absolute best to meet your expectations, Your Majesty. Guys, let me explain. The Knight Selection Exam is a massive empire-wide event where fighters from all over come to compete. It is how the Empire recruits its top warriors. Competitors fight in one-on-one duels, and the winners are invited to the capital for the final tournament. The ultimate champion is officially knighted and directly inducted into the royal army. But the real kicker? The winner's very first assignment is to serve as a direct subordinate to the head judge. This means Noah gets first pick and can secure an incredibly talented knight for his own personal guard. Noah then asks the Emperor, If it pleases Your Majesty, I would like to oversee the selection process and judge the candidates directly from the capital. That way, I can personally handpick every strong warrior who makes the cut. The Emperor immediately grants him permission. In the next scene, Noah is back at his mansion, talking to his maid, Juhi. He asks her, Are there any fighters from your hometown who are planning to participate in the knight selection exam? Juhi confirms that yes, her village does send a warrior to compete in the knight selection exam every single year. However, she explains they only ever send one person because the village is poor and simply cannot afford the travel expenses or the cost of housing multiple fighters in the capital. Hearing this, Noah says, I would like to personally see how many warriors from your village are actually qualified for this exam. If I find multiple fighters who impress me, I will cover all their travel and living expenses out of my own pocket. After that, Noah calls his butler, Dylan, and gives him a massive order. I want you to buy up every single vacant house in the capital. We are going to convert them into a giant dormitory for the visiting warriors to stay in. Hearing Noah's brilliant plan, Juhi is incredibly impressed and touched. Next, Noah meets up with that wealthy merchant he ran into at the party, the one who adopted the slave girl. The merchant offers a sweet deal. He is willing to let Noah's guest warriors stay at his luxury hotel for an unbelievably low price. But Noah is smart. He knows a top-tier merchant never takes a deal that loses him money. So Noah looks at him and asks straight up, What exactly do you want in return? The merchant chuckles and says, You really are amazing, Prince. It is hard to believe someone your age understands business this well. He then lays his cards on the table. He explains that just like the knight selection exam, there is also a palace employment exam for servants. He wants to know exactly what kind of people the royal recruiters are looking to hire this year. Basically, the merchant wants to get his adopted daughter a job inside the palace so she can spy and feed him insider information. On top of that, if the emperor happens to take a liking to her for a night, The merchant stands to gain massive political and financial benefits. Noah hears him out and says, "Before we agree to anything, I want to meet this girl you are trying to hire out. If she impresses me, then I will help you." Recognizing Noah's authority and generosity, the merchant and his daughter both bow deeply, thanking him for the opportunity. The merchant then says, "Prince, I would also like to ask your permission to hang your official crest on my storefront." Noah stares him down and replies, "If I let you do that, you belong to me completely. You work for me now, and I have absolutely zero tolerance for betrayal." The merchant eagerly agrees to the terms. In the next scene, we see that adding the merchant, Byron, as a subordinate has caused Noah's overall stats to increase. But suddenly, Noah notices one of his specific stats has actually dropped. He realizes immediately that something bad must be happening down in his territory, Almeria. He tells Juhi, "I am going to see the Emperor right now. You head back to the palace." Noah goes straight to the Emperor and informs him that there is a disturbance in Almeria. Right as he says it, a messenger rushes in and hands the Emperor an urgent report. The Emperor sighs and says, "You are spot on, Noah. A rebellion has broken out in Almeria. How large do you think their forces are?" Noah thinks for a second and replies, "I do not think their group is very large right now." The Emperor corrects him, saying, "The rebels actually number around 5,000 men. Since this is happening in your territory, do you plan to handle this rebellion yourself?" Noah shakes his head. "I am way too young to shoulder a responsibility that massive right now. It would be much better if you sent one of my older brothers." The Emperor smiles and says, "I was not expecting you to give up so easily, but fine. If that is what you want, who do you think we should send?" Noah immediately suggests the fourth prince, Henry, because he has absolute faith in Henry's combat abilities. The Emperor nods and says, "Excellent choice." Cut to the next scene. Noah and Henry are riding in a carriage, heading out on a mission together. Henry turns to Noah and says, "I really think you should have taken command of this battle yourself. I am positive you would have won, and securing a major victory like that would have been a huge achievement for your political career." Noah replies, "I probably would have won, but a lot of my soldiers would have died following my orders, and I am not willing to accept that." Suddenly, Noah senses something is wrong and immediately orders the carriage driver to stop. "Guys," Noah sensed that the rebels had set up an ambush nearby. The second he steps out of the carriage, explosions go off all around them. The smoke clears, and Noah is completely surrounded by armed rebels. But when we get a closer look, Noah does not have a single scratch on him. He had already instantly deployed multiple magical shields using his ring to protect himself. Without breaking a sweat, Noah draws Leviathan and charges into the fight. He easily completely overpowers and takes down every single traitor in the area. Watching him fight, Henry says, "You have gotten even stronger than before. It is a shame, though. It would have been really useful if we could have interrogated them." Noah smirks and says, "They are not dead. I just used Leviathan's aura to knock them unconscious." After securing the prisoners, we learn a key detail about the region. Almeria is severely lacking in war horses, the kind specifically bred and trained for mounted combat. The next day, Noah meets up with Byron the merchant and asks him, "You do business in this area too, do you not?" Noah leans in close to Byron and says, with dead seriousness, "Listen to me very carefully. If you breathe a single word of what I am about to tell you to anyone, I guarantee you will be a dead man. A rebellion has officially broken out in Almeria. I have received intel that the rebel forces have a massive cavalry unit, warriors fighting on horseback. I am giving you $150,000 right now. Go and buy up every single ounce of horse feed and soldier rations currently available in my territory." Guys, according to the fourth prince, Henry, the horses the Almeria rebels are using were actually purchased from an entirely different region, not from Almeria itself. Hearing Noah's plan, Byron looks concerned and says, "But Prince, if I completely buy out all the local rations, those rebel soldiers will literally starve. They will resort to plundering and robbing the local villagers. But that is precisely what Noah is counting on. He has set up an incredibly brilliant trap to make the upcoming battle significantly easier for his brother to win. In the very next scene, Noah is back at the palace speaking with the Emperor. The Emperor reveals that they managed to extract some key intel from the rebel assassins Noah captured earlier. According to the interrogation, the assassins were sent to kidnap Noah so the rebel forces could ransom him back to the Emperor for a massive payout. Noah looks skeptical and says, "But father, assassins like that do not break and confess that easily. There is a high chance they are feeding you false information." The Emperor waves it off and says, "Do not worry about that. We have ways to figure out if they are lying or telling the truth. Regardless, it is a very good thing you did not actually get kidnapped. That would have put the entire empire in a terrible position. Also, your little scheme to buy up all the rebel supplies, it was a brilliant move." Noah is completely caught off guard, wondering how on earth the Emperor found out about his secret plan that fast. The Emperor continues, "The Crown Prince, Albert, actually suggested that I just let the rebels slowly starve to death. But if I did that, those traitors would undoubtedly start attacking and pillaging our innocent citizens to survive, which is entirely unacceptable. However, your plan perfectly corners them. Honestly, it was so well executed that I think you deserve a reward. How about this? I will officially grant you the right to add a sword emblem to your personal family crest." Guys, let me explain why this is a huge deal. An added sword emblem is the ultimate symbol of a supreme warrior. In this empire, adding that emblem to your crest without the Emperor's explicit permission carries the death penalty. But receiving it directly from the Emperor, that is considered one of the highest possible honors a noble can achieve. Noah immediately bows and deeply thanks the Emperor for the incredible privilege. After leaving the palace, Noah meets back up with Byron, who has been anxiously waiting for him. Byron confirms that he has successfully completed Noah's mission and bought up all the supplies. Then, Byron drops some heavy information. The leader of the rebel forces is a man named Carfon. He is totally ruthless and will cross any line to get what he wants. I strongly advise you to stay on high alert, Prince. Right at that moment, a maid rushes in and tells Noah that a severely injured man has just arrived at the front gates, demanding to deliver an urgent report directly to the prince. Noah hurries out to meet the man. The injured guy gasps, "I serve as a knight in Adora, a city within your Almeria territory. I came as fast as I could to warn you. A massive rebellion has broken out, and they have already launched a full-scale attack on us." Noah nods solemnly and says, "Thank you for risking your life to bring me this intel." He then orders his staff, "Get him medical treatment immediately. And as a reward for his crucial report, do not just give him the standard $7,000, give him $15,000. Watching this, Byron is confused. He asks Noah, "Prince, you already knew about the rebellion. That information was completely useless to you. Why on earth did you just give him such a massive reward?" Noah looks back at Byron and simply explains, "He is just an ordinary knight who risked his own life to bring me this intel. The absolute least I can do is reward his loyalty." Later that evening, Juhi walks into Noah's room looking visibly shaken. She hands him a small pouch of money containing about $7,000 and pulls out a tiny vial of sleeping liquid. She admits that a total stranger handed her these items. The man ordered her to slip the drug into Noah's tea and paid her the $7,000 up front as a bribe. Noah instantly realizes this is the handiwork of the rebel traitors. He looks at her gently and asks, "Why did you bring all of this straight to me?" Juhi tears up and says, "You have done so much for me, for my mother, and for my entire village. There is absolutely no way I could ever betray you. The man warned me that if I did not spike your drink, they would track me down and kill me. But even with a death threat hanging over my head, I could never double-cross you." Hearing her absolute loyalty, Noah decides to reward her on the spot. "I am incredibly proud of you for standing your ground," he says. "As a reward, I am going to take the bribe money they gave you and just add a 0 to the end of it." He hands her $70,000. "But now, I need you to do one more thing for me." Juhi wipes her tears and asks, What do you need me to do, Prince? Noah smirks and lays out a crazy plan. I am actually going to drink this spiked tea. Once I pass out, I want you to hand me over to those men exactly like they asked, and then immediately run away to safety. Guys, Noah clearly has a master plan up his sleeve. Cut to the next scene, and Noah has officially been kidnapped. When he finally regains consciousness, he finds himself tied up hand and foot inside a dark hideout. But the kidnappers made a fatal mistake. Noah still has both his magical ring and his sword equipped. With a subtle flex of his aura, he effortlessly snaps the thick ropes binding him. Using his ring's magical playback ability, he quickly reviews what happened while he was out cold. The magical memory shows a group of masked men loading his unconscious body into a carriage and smuggling him straight to this remote safe house. Noah calmly stands up and dusts himself off, ready to confront the traitors. Seeing him untied, the rebel assassins draw their weapons and sneer. Your older brother managed to save your skin last time, kid. But nobody is coming to rescue you out here. Noah does not even blink. In a flash of steel, he effortlessly drops the lead assassin and says coldly, "It seems you guys are in a massive rush to die." A chaotic battle breaks out. Noah sweeps through the room, using his blade to take down the traitors one by one. Just a few minutes later, the doors burst open, and a squad of royal soldiers rushes in, led by Juhi. It turns out Noah had explicitly ordered her to stay hidden, but she was so incredibly worried about him that she rallied the local guard and rushed in to help anyway. Noah sighs, but smiles at her loyalty, ordering the soldiers, "Arrest the survivors." As the soldiers move in to secure the prisoners, one of the fallen assassins drops his sword onto the floor. A royal soldier steps forward and reaches down to pick it up. Noah suddenly senses an overwhelming, suffocating aura of dark magic radiating from the discarded blade. Thanks to his connection with Leviathan, Noah realizes the weapon is highly cursed. He screams at the top of his lungs, "Do not touch that blade! Get back, right now!" Noah draws Leviathan and stares down at the cursed weapon. "This should be a walk in the park for you," he mutters to his sword. "After all, you are the strongest water blade in existence." Leviathan instantly responds, unleashing a terrifying surge of raw power. A blinding beam of deep blue energy shoots out from the sword, blasting straight through the ceiling and into the sky. The magical strike travels miles away, locking onto a distant figure hidden in the shadows and instantly obliterating him. Guys, that remote target was clearly the ultimate mastermind pulling the strings behind the entire rebellion. In the very next scene, Noah is back at the palace meeting with the Emperor. The Emperor is beaming with pride and heaps praise on him. Late last night, the leader of the rebel forces was mysteriously assassinated, the Emperor reveals. "I know for a fact that was your doing, Noah. With their leader dead, the remaining rebel forces completely lost their spirit and surrendered without a fight." The Emperor's expression turns cold and stern as he hands down his judgment. "Noah, these criminals dared to stage a violent rebellion right inside your personal territory. For that level of treason, they will face the absolute harshest punishment available: public execution." But Noah steps forward, bows his head, and interrupts, "Your Majesty, I would like to formally request that you spare their lives." The Emperor is completely caught off guard. He stares at Noah in pure shock and asks, "What exactly do you mean by that, Noah?" Noah explains his stance clearly. "We need to handle their sentencing strictly by the book. According to imperial law, the death penalty is exclusively reserved for the actual ringleaders of a rebellion. So I believe the Empire should sentence the regular rebel soldiers strictly within those legal guidelines." Hearing Noah lay down the law like that, the entire grand hall falls dead silent. The Emperor pauses, then nods slowly. "You are completely right, Noah. Every single action we take must align with the law. However, simply handing these men a slap on the wrist is not going to cut it. We will prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law and give them the absolute harshest prison sentences legally possible." Noah bows respectfully and says, "Whatever pleases your Majesty." Following that, the Emperor officially hands the entire matter over to his first Prime Minister, Nozzle, to handle the logistics. Whispers break out across the hall as all the high-ranking ministers start praising Noah's incredible judgment. The emperor looks down at him and says proudly, "You just stopped me from breaking my own laws in a moment of anger, and you absolutely deserve to be recognized for that. It is time I granted you an official royal title. Based on everything I have seen from you, I officially bestow upon you the title of the Wise." Guys, the second the emperor says it, the brand new title instantly registers on Noah's system status window. The entire hall erupts into loud cheers, with everyone chanting, "Long live the wise prince." Once the room settles down, the emperor shifts the conversation. "By the way, Noah, the knight selection exam is right around the corner. Have you decided exactly how you are going to judge the candidates?" Noah confirms that he has a solid game plan ready to roll. Cut to the next scene, where Noah demonstrates his judging process directly to the emperor. He has a royal guard launch a full-force attack right at him. Without flinching, Noah projects a highly concentrated magical shield that instantly absorbs the blow. He does it again and again, effortlessly blocking multiple high-powered strikes. Noah explains, "This is exactly how I am going to run the trials. I will have every single participant launch their absolute strongest attack directly at me, and I will grade them entirely based on how close their blade actually gets to my physical body." The emperor looks skeptical and warns him, "It is definitely an effective method, but the risk is massive. If a candidate manages to shatter your barrier, you could be seriously injured." Noah smiles confidently and reveals that he has already layered his defenses and prepared extensive countermeasures just in case. Hearing that, the emperor chuckles and says, "You really are incredibly sharp. You are definitely my son." Noah simply thanks his father for the compliment. We then switch over to a private meeting inside a quiet mansion, where First Prime Minister Nozel is speaking candidly with the emperor. Nozel leans in and says, "Your Majesty, I get the distinct feeling that you truly want to name Prince Noah as your official successor." The emperor sighs deeply and admits, "I really do, but my hands are completely tied. Imperial law strictly dictates the line of succession, so I cannot just bypass the older princes. Still, the kid's potential is absolutely terrifying, and that sword he carries holds an unimaginable godlike power. According to ancient folklore, Leviathan has a sacred seal placed upon it that must never be broken, or it will literally trigger the end of the world. But I genuinely believe Noah is different. If anyone can tame that blade's true power, it is him." The story then transitions to the actual knight selection exam. Guys, as we know, this is the single biggest annual event in the entire empire. Let us talk about the empire's name for a second, the Mirasian Empire. The word Miras is actually an ancient term that translates directly to warrior. So the Mirasian Empire is literally the empire of warriors, and this year, our boy Noah is running the ultimate showcase as the head judge. We see the first candidate step up to the plate, flexing his skills as he charges at Noah with a heavy downward slash. Noah casually deploys a basic magic shield. The impact is so intense that the candidate's sword instantly shatters into pieces. Up in the VIP box, we see that the Emperor himself has decided to attend the event personally, eager to see exactly what kind of elite talent Noah recruits. Next up, a massive fighter unleashes a terrifying, blazing fire attack right at the stage. But once the smoke clears, Noah is still sitting there completely untouched, instantly eliminating the fighter from the trials. This goes on for hours until the sun finally starts going down. The very last candidate of the day steps onto the stage, a young woman named Charlene. Guys, she charges in with blinding speed and brings her sword down with so much raw power that she actually shatters Noah's magical shield. The royal guards instantly draw their weapons and tackle her to the ground, thinking she is an assassin trying to murder the prince. Noah literally barely dodged taking a fatal hit, but before the guards can drag her away, Noah raises his hand and shouts, "Stand down! Release her immediately. She has officially passed the exam." Hearing those words, Charlene is completely overwhelmed, and tears of pure relief stream down her face. In the next scene, Noah is backstage speaking privately with Charlene. He praises her exceptional combat skills and then gives her a direct order. Attack me again, exactly like you did out there. Charlene does not hesitate for a split second. She immediately draws her blade and launches a fierce strike right at him. But this time, Noah deploys a reinforced barrier, and her sword completely stops dead in its tracks, unable to break through. Noah smirks and says, "If I had genuinely wanted to block your attack out on the stage, I could have done it effortlessly. But I needed to test your true upper limits. More importantly, I am incredibly impressed by your mindset. You are the definition of a true, loyal knight. I gave you a direct order to attack your own master, and you followed it instantly without asking a single question." Hearing this, Charlene drops to one knee, places her fist over her heart, and pledges, "You are truly incredible, Prince. I, Charlene Grounds, swear upon my life that I will serve and protect you until my dying breath." Guys, securing a top-tier knight like Charlene instantly causes Noah's system stats to shoot up again. Right then, Evelyn rushes into the room, bringing along the absolute best medical expert in the entire empire, Dr. Crow. The doctor immediately gets to work treating Noah. It turns out Charlene's final strike out on the stage did not just break his shield, it actually left him with a pretty deep, bleeding flesh wound. While Noah is getting bandaged up, Charlene casually mentions that her remote home village does not have a single doctor or medical clinic. Noah looks at her in surprise and asks, "If you guys do not have any doctors, what exactly do you do when someone gets badly injured or comes down with a serious illness?" Charlene explains that when folks get sick or injured in her remote village, the elders simply pray to God and hope for the best. Hearing this, Noah immediately orders Charlene to gather the wisest and sharpest people from her hometown and bring them straight to the capital. He turns to Dr. Crow and tells him to take a few of them under his wing as official apprentices so they can learn real, proper medicine to take back home. Seeing Noah's incredible kindness and generosity, Charlene gets super emotional. She bows deeply and thanks him from the bottom of her heart. The next morning, after getting dressed and throwing on her armor, Charlene steps out and runs right into Juhi. The two of them chat for a second, but then overhear a group of maids nearby gossiping about who the lucky girl will eventually be to marry their master. Guys, keep in mind that all the other imperial princes had their marriages fully arranged by the time they were 14 or 15 years old, but Noah is only 6. The maids just keep gushing over him, agreeing that they have never seen a prince as genuinely kind-hearted as Noah. Charlene nudges Juhi and teases her, asking if she has a secret crush on the master too, pointing out that Juhi recently started learning magic specifically to help him out. Juhi blushes hard and quietly admits that she just wants to be as useful to the prince as possible. Meanwhile, the knight selection exam has officially wrapped up, and thanks to Noah's unique trading method, several exceptionally talented warriors have been recruited into the ranks. Noah instructs Charlene to escort the senior knight, the official who delivered the final assessment rosters, on his way out. Once they reach the main gates, Charlene bows respectfully to the senior knight, thanking him for taking the time to hand-deliver the reports. The official smiles and tells her there is absolutely no need to bow since they are both fellow knights serving the Empire. Before parting ways, he leaves Charlene with some solid advice, assuring her that as long as she stays loyally by the young prince's side, she will never end up on the wrong path. Later that evening, a lavish celebration party is in full swing, featuring Alice performing her beautiful songs for the crowd. Byron and his adopted daughter, Simi, spot Noah and walk over to congratulate him on successfully wrapping up the trials. Noah thanks them and tells them to go enjoy the night, casually leaning in to drop a hint. He tells Byron that the room is packed with influential merchants who have deep, lucrative ties to the 13th Imperial Prince's household. Byron instantly catches on to the opportunity, smirking as he says he picks up exactly what Noah is putting down and promises to go mingle and make some powerful new friends. Right as Alice wraps up her set to a massive round of applause from the crowd, Juhi hurries over to Noah, holding an urgent letter. It turns out, the informant who smuggled the note to the mansion bolted into the shadows the second it was out of his hands. Noah rips open the letter and discovers that dangerous remnants of the rebel forces are still hiding out in Almeria, actively plotting a brand new scheme. Noah instantly connects the dots. He realizes the person who risked everything to get this letter to him is the exact same loyal knight from Adora who delivered the very first warning. Guys, this brave knight has been running a gritty underground investigation entirely on his own, and Noah knows the man is walking straight into a fatal trap. Noah immediately decides to write an urgent letter to his older brother, Henry, who is still stationed out near the territory. But tragically, in the very next scene, we learn that the rebels uncovered the soldier's cover and showed him absolutely zero mercy. Prince Henry managed to raid the location and pull him out in the nick of time, but the knight is left in critical condition, barely clinging to life. Noah feels incredibly guilty, blaming himself for putting the man in harm's way. He urgently orders Juhi to dispatch a message straight to Almeria, commanding his staff to spare no expense and do whatever it takes to save the soldier's life. Guys, Noah is absolutely determined to protect the people who prove their loyalty to him. The very next day, Noah and Charlene head out to take a walk through the local market. Noah wants to pick up a nice thank you gift for his brother Henry to show his appreciation for stepping up and saving his scout. They wander into a high-end antique shop where the owner eagerly shows off a bunch of premium items. However, Noah ignores the standard goods. His eyes lock onto something truly spectacular sitting on display. It is an exquisite, breathtaking statue sculpted entirely out of glass. The piece is a genuine, priceless masterpiece crafted by the legendary artisan Lindsay, and only 2 other statues like it exist in the entire world. Recognizing its immense value, Noah buys the stunning artwork right on the spot. Just then, Prince Oscar walks through the front door of the shop. He heard through the grapevine that Noah was shopping in the area and decided to drop by and say hello. But the second Oscar sets foot inside and catches a glimpse of the glowing glass goddess statue, he stops dead in his tracks, completely mesmerized by it. And guys, considering there are only a couple of these legendary sculptures left on the face of the earth, who can really blame him? So one statue is sitting right there in the shop, and Oscar actually already owns one of the other 2 existing pieces. Knowing this, Noah casually drops the glass masterpiece on purpose, letting it shatter into pieces on the floor. He then turns to his crew and tells them to spread a rumor across the capital that the second goddess statue was finally discovered, but it was completely destroyed. Because Noah pulled this genius move, the market value of the remaining statue Oscar owns is about to absolutely skyrocket. Oscar grins and says, "You really are incredibly sharp, brother." Once Oscar heads out, Noah goes back to browsing for other gifts. As they leave the shop in the next scene, Charlene speaks up saying, "Ever since I started serving you, you have done nothing but blow my mind. You just casually destroyed a priceless treasure today without batting an eye." Noah looks at her and replies, "It was just a lifeless piece of glass. In my eyes, it did not hold any real value. To me, loyal people matter way more. At the end of the day, the only true treasures in this world are good people. And you are definitely one of my precious treasures, Charlene." Hearing this, Charlene is absolutely thrilled. She smiles warmly and says, "You truly are amazing, Prince. I swear upon my life that I will serve you until my dying breath." And then, guys, the narrative executes a massive 6-year time skip. We see that Noah is now 12 years old. He has grown up to be even smarter, sharper, more cunning, and significantly stronger than before. In the next scene during morning breakfast, we see a massive line of people stretching all the way outside Noah's estate. Guys, Noah's birthday was actually 3 days ago, but so many nobles and merchants showed up to bring him gifts that even 3 days later, the line is still out the door. But the thing is, Noah does not just blindly accept presents from anyone. He demands full documentation on exactly what every single item is, and exactly who sent it before it crosses his threshold. We also learn that Noah has completely mastered the Leviathan sword. His tactical skills and capabilities have become so exceptional that an official imperial order has made him a top executive in the Ministry of Military Affairs. And guys, the minister overseeing military affairs is none other than his brother, the fourth prince, Henry. They have just received an urgent imperial directive stating that a dangerous faction of rebels is causing trouble near the southern border, and they need to step in and shut it down. Guys, meet General Reese, who serves as Henry's direct subordinate. He is the one tasked with leading the frontline troops into battle against the enemy forces. Noah looks straight at General Reese and asks point blank, "Exactly how many soldiers are you leading in this unit?" Reese instantly stammers, completely unable to give a straight answer. Henry narrows his eyes and asks, "What exactly are you hiding from us, Reese?" The very next second, Reese drops into a deep bow and nervously begs Henry for forgiveness. Guys, here is how the system works. Every soldier recruited into the Imperial Army gets their standard paychecks directly from the Ministry of Military Affairs. So, corrupt generals often pad their official rosters with fake names and ghost soldiers just so the ministry sends them extra funding, allowing the generals to quietly pocket the leftover cash. And that is exactly the scheme General Reese was running. But surprisingly, Henry does not punish Reese for the fraud because, strategically speaking, it actually offers a solid advantage. If enemy scouts intercept the rosters and believe the Imperial Army has massive numbers on paper, it completely crushes their morale before the battle even starts. Noah steps up and tells Reese, "However many ghost soldiers you added to that list, I want you to go out and recruit real soldiers to fill those exact spots immediately." Noah then writes up an official dispatch for Reese to deliver to the Ministry of Military Affairs, ensuring they secure even more legitimate funding so the newly recruited troops are properly fed and taken care of. Later on, we see Henry and Noah riding in a carriage together, heading toward the outskirts. We learn that even though Noah is 12 years old now, royal law strictly forbids him from venturing out into active combat zones or untamed wilderness areas. Guys, the moment an Imperial Prince is born, massive targets are painted on their backs, drawing out countless assassins. Since a prince's life is considered incredibly valuable, the royal family strictly bars them from leaving the safety of secured territories until they officially reach adulthood. While they are riding along, a young girl suddenly darts out right in front of their carriage, desperately begging for help. A group of violent human traffickers is chasing her down the street, and none of the local bystanders are stepping up to help the terrified kids. Noah immediately steps out of the carriage to confront the thugs, glaring at them as he asks, "So, you guys are running a slave trading ring out here in broad daylight. Do you actually have an official permit for that?" Instead of answering, the thugs foolishly draw their weapons and launch an attack straight at Noah's crew, leaving the crowd gasping in shock. Noah effortlessly subdues the attackers in a flash. He then turns to the rescued girls and asks gently, "Are you kids all right?" The overwhelming relief hits the main girl, and she immediately breaks down crying. Suddenly, a sketchy older man walks up to the scene and smirks, saying, "Nice to meet you. I am the guy who feeds himself by selling these girls. And just so you know, I work directly under the orders of the first prince, Gilbert." Guys, Noah instantly sees right through the act. The old guy is just dropping Prince Gilbert's name to intimidate Noah into backing off. Look at this. This man claims he serves the first prince while committing these absolute atrocities. Noah immediately orders his royal guards to arrest the entire trafficking ring and transport them straight to the first prince's estate to face official judgment. He then turns to the rescued children and reassures them that they can stay safely at his personal mansion for the time being. Seeing how masterfully Noah spun the situation to trap the slavers, Henry gives him massive props. Later that evening during dinner, Noah receives an official dispatch from Prince Gilbert. Gilbert formally thanks Noah for sending the criminals over, explaining, "I personally interrogated those men. They were dragging my name through the mud to cover their illegal tracks. However, before I could send them to a public court, they all took their own lives in their holding cells." Henry scoffs and tells Noah, "This is absolutely Gilbert's doing cleaning up his loose ends. He has been making a lot of aggressive moves lately, buying up local businesses, acquiring massive plots of land, and expanding his reach." Noah takes a bite of his dinner and says calmly, "We cannot really blame him for operating like this. Even though Gilbert is the first prince, his mother was of low birth, meaning the royal throne can never legally belong to him. Because he knows he will never be emperor, he is just desperately trying to build up as much personal wealth and private power as possible to secure his own future." Henry is once again left completely amazed by Noah's deep political maturity. Noah then heads over to the rescued kids and promises them that they are officially safe and will never be sold off to anyone ever again. "You guys are officially free to go." But the kids look down and explain that they have nowhere else to go. Every single one of them was sold off by their own families for one reason or another. Hearing this, Noah turns to his butler and says, "Dylan, from now on, all of them work under me. Set them up with good jobs and proper living arrangements." He then looks back at the kids and says, "You can stay here as long as you want, and you are free to leave whenever you please. Just remember one thing, never cross me." Dylan then leads the kids away. Later, Noah calls in Evelyn and drops some big news. "I want you to head down to Almeria and take over as a local administrator. You are going to be an official government officer." Guys, let us give some context here. The territory the emperor granted Noah is massive. Even if Noah wanted to, it is humanly impossible for him to personally keep tabs on every single town, village, and region. That is exactly why he appoints regional administrators, trusted people he delegates to govern specific areas on his behalf. But even with a massive promotion on the table, Evelyn hesitates, saying she would much rather stay at the estate and keep serving Noah directly. Noah looks at her and says gently, "You are way too capable, Evelyn. Keeping you here would be holding you back. You will be significantly more useful to me running things down there." Evelyn finally understands what he needs, accepts the position, and packs her bags to leave the mansion. Watching Noah handle the promotion, Charlene smiles and notes how incredible he truly is. In the next scene, we see Noah standing before the emperor in the royal courtroom. Guys, Prince Gilbert had officially reported to the emperor that Noah did an outstanding job taking down those corrupt, dishonest human traffickers. By spinning the narrative this way, Gilbert is just trying to make himself look completely clean and innocent. The emperor looks down from his throne and asks Noah for his take on the situation. Noah confirms that the official report is accurate. The emperor then poses a hypothetical question to the court. "Imagine if I went undercover as a commoner to inspect a local town, and a street thug suddenly launched a surprise attack on me. If I failed to block the hit and my true identity was revealed to the crowd, those thugs would face the absolute harshest penalty available for assaulting the royal family, right?" All the nobles and ministers chuckle and nod eagerly, agreeing, "Absolutely, Your Majesty. Criminals like that would immediately get the death penalty." But Noah steps forward and plainly says, "No, they would not. Because you were undercover as a commoner, legally speaking, you were just an ordinary citizen at that exact moment. Therefore, the attacker would only receive the standard legal sentence for getting into a street brawl with a regular person. Definitely not the death penalty." The moment Noah drops that legal reality, the entire courtroom falls dead silent. Noah internalizes for a second, wondering if he just made a massive political mistake by correcting the emperor publicly. But the very next second, the emperor bursts out laughing and looks over at First Prime Minister Nozel, shouting, "I win!" Nozel sighs, bows his head, and admits, "You were right, Your Majesty. I completely underestimated the wise prince." Guys, it turns out the emperor and his top minister had an ongoing bet specifically testing Noah's legal principles. Later, in a private meeting between the emperor and Nozel, the emperor's mood turns serious. He says, "It seems that confidential report was completely accurate. Take charge of this matter, Nozel. I believe the time has finally come." Cut to the next scene, where Noah arrives at the official headquarters of the Ministry of Justice. He meets up with the Vice Minister of Justice, a guy named Vinny. Noah cuts straight to the chase and asks Vinny to outline his official duties. Vinny explains that Noah has two primary responsibilities. First, coordinating operations across every single courthouse in the empire, and second, directly overseeing the intense interrogations of high-level traitors. Basically, guys, the ministry functions as the supreme federal court where major criminal sentences are officially handed down. Hearing how much leverage the department holds, Noah leans in and asks bluntly, "With that much power flying around, there has to be serious bribery going on here. How much are you pocketing?" Vinny gets visibly nervous and quickly denies it, stammering that he would never do something like that. Noah waves him off and says calmly, "Relax, I am not asking so I can build a case against you. I just want the unvarnished truth about how this office operates." Vinny sighs and comes clean. "Honestly, I do not take much myself, maybe just a few $100 a year. But the officials working under me? They pull in 10 times that amount easily because they demand kickbacks on almost every single minor dispute. I do have lines I refuse to cross, though. I absolutely never accept bribes on murder cases." Noah listens, pulls out a stack of cash, and hands it over to Vinny. "Based on what you were telling me, you probably scrape together around $5,000 a year in side money. I am giving you $50,000 right now, 10 times your usual cut. As long as I am running this department, you will not accept a single dirty dollar from anyone." Vinny looks at the money in absolute awe and says, "Now I finally understand why the Emperor put someone your age in charge of the Ministry of Justice. Keep your extra money, Prince. I am officially done taking bribes. From now on, I just want the honor of working under your leadership." Later that night, we see Noah hanging out with Prince Oscar. Oscar has thrown a massive exclusive dinner party specifically to celebrate Noah's huge appointment to the Ministry of Justice. While they are eating, Noah is deep in thought, trying to figure out exactly why the Emperor chose him for this specific role. He reasons to himself, "Look at Henry. He has incredible tactical leadership and absolutely dominates the battlefield. I do not have a military background like that." He shares his confusion with Oscar. Oscar listens closely, analyzes the Emperor's recent political moves, and suddenly realizes the pattern. His eyes go wide as he drops a bombshell. "Noah, the Emperor is grooming you to take over as the Crown Prince." Right on cue, a royal butler walks up and hands Oscar an official urgent dispatch. Oscar reads it and immediately shares the crazy news with Noah. "The Emperor is officially announcing my appointment as the Minister of Finance at tomorrow's General Assembly. It looks like he is quietly shifting the power dynamics for all of us, not just you." The two brothers toast to the incredible news and keep the celebration going. Meanwhile, the narrative shifts to a dark, hidden location where a heavily armed squad of royal soldiers raids a secret meeting, completely surrounding a group of conspirators. Guys, we learn that these traitors were actively cooking up a highly toxic biological plot designed to slowly poison the Emperor until he dropped dead, paving the way for the Crown Prince to immediately seize the throne. First Prime Minister Nozel delivers the intercepted intel directly to the Emperor. The Emperor instantly connects the dots, knowing full well that Crown Prince Albert is the ultimate mastermind behind the assassination plot because he is desperate to secure the crown. However, they do not have a single piece of hard, actionable evidence directly linking Albert to the conspiracy. In a quiet room, the Emperor and Nozel discuss the looming crisis. The Emperor rubs his temples and admits, "Trust me, Nozel, Noah's political instincts are sharper than anyone's. Neither Gilbert nor Albert is fit to sit on the royal throne. I am losing sleep trying to figure out who the future of this empire truly belongs to. Henry, Oscar, or Noah?" The Emperor decides that the only way to truly settle the matter is to put them through the ultimate test. He declares that whoever proves themselves and wins this upcoming trial will officially be named the next Emperor. The very next day, Noah gets the full rundown on the dark conspiracy being plotted against his father. He instantly connects the dots and realizes the Crown Prince is the one pulling the strings, especially since every single conspirator captured belongs directly to the Crown Prince's loyal faction. Guys, let us look at how the royal justice system operates here. Normally, if a member of the imperial family commits a major crime, they are quietly given a slap on the wrist to avoid public embarrassment. However, there is one massive exception to the rule: treason. If any royal family member commits treason or stages a rebellion, The mandatory sentence is absolute death. But Noah realizes the bigger political picture. If Crown Prince Albert is executed and completely removed from the board, the person who stands to gain the most is the third prince, who would almost certainly be selected as the new heir to the throne. Noah wastes no time handing down strict sentences to every single person involved in the conspiracy. He heads straight to the palace to deliver the final verdict directly to the emperor. Noah explains his plan. The ringleader of the traitors will be cleanly sliced right down the middle, while the rest of the conspirators will be publicly beheaded. To keep the situation tightly contained, the executions will be carried out the very next day after the sentencing. Noah is deliberately rushing the executions specifically, so Crown Prince Albert's name never leaks to the public. He knows that if they drag their feet, Albert might panic and trigger a massive internal conflict. The emperor is incredibly pleased with Noah's swift and decisive action. As an immediate bonus, he gives Noah a raise, adding $1,000 to his annual salary. He looks at Noah with absolute pride and says, "I have massive expectations for you, Noah, and I fully trust you to meet them." Guys, the emperor is more than happy to bury Albert's involvement because a royal scandal of that magnitude would seriously damage the empire's public stability. Later on, when Noah arrives back at his office headquarters, he is greeted by a horrific scene. A bunch of his own soldiers are lying bleeding and severely wounded across the courtyard. One dying soldier desperately gasps that the intruders are still inside the building, but the second the words leave his mouth, he passes away. Noah's expression turns cold. He turns to Charlene and barks an urgent order. "Rally all our surviving men and lock down the perimeter. Nobody steps foot inside this building except for me, not even another royal prince." Noah draws his blade and rushes inside. The interior is a complete bloodbath, with wounded staff scattered everywhere. Right as he steps into the main hall, Noah spots an intruder driving a sword straight through a royal officer's chest. Acting on pure instinct, Noah surges forward and instantly overpowers the assassin. Before the guy can bite down on a hidden poison capsule to take his own life, Noah forces his jaw shut. Suddenly, the rest of the hit squad steps out of the shadows and launches a coordinated strike against Noah. But Noah effortlessly sweeps through the room, taking down every single one of them. A few minutes later, Vinny hurries into the headquarters and delivers some grim news. Before Noah arrived, these intruders managed to execute every single captive conspirator locked in the holding cells. Noah instantly realizes that these hitmen are Albert's personal fixers, sent to silence the captured witnesses and clean up his loose ends. He looks at Vinny and says, "The official story is that these intruders did this to me. Attacking an imperial prince carries an automatic death sentence, so execute the surviving hitmen immediately." Noah gets his self-inflicted wound bandaged up by the medical staff. Shortly after, Vinny returns to confirm that all 4 infiltrators have been permanently dealt with. Guys, Noah orchestrated this clever cover-up specifically to prevent mass panic and keep the Empire from spiraling into a chaotic civil war. The very next day, the Emperor summons Noah for a private meeting. After reading the official incident report, the Emperor looks at him skeptically and asks, "Did those hitmen genuinely manage to breach your defenses and wound you? Were they really that exceptionally skilled?" Noah plays it humble, replying, "No, they were not particularly strong. I was just caught off guard and distracted by the chaos, so my defensive timing was off." The Emperor sees right through the act. He smiles softly and says, "I am incredibly proud of you, Noah. I honestly wish the rest of my children were exactly like you." The Emperor then leads Noah out onto the grand palace balcony. Looking out over the sprawling capital, he says, "You know, oftentimes we hand people massive responsibilities, only to watch them completely crack under the weight of them." Noah internalizes the moment, thinking to himself, "Ever since the Emperor took the throne, this entire empire has enjoyed absolute peace and prosperity. But if the public found out that his own crown prince was actively plotting a violent coup, it would completely destroy his legacy. People would start whispering that if the emperor cannot even keep his own sons in line, how can he possibly govern an entire empire?" Noah realizes that the emperor quietly went along with burying the crown prince's treason specifically to protect the royal family's reputation and maintain public trust. Noah turns to his father and says, "Your Majesty, I would like to ask you for a favor. You officially appointed Henry, Oscar, and me as cabinet ministers, which is completely unprecedented in our history. Because it is such a bold move, some political factions might take it the wrong way. To keep things balanced, it would be smart to appoint one specific person to coordinate between us, someone officially ranking above all three of us. We need a role like a prime minister prince, and I strongly believe you should hand that title over to the crown prince." The emperor immediately frowns and waves the idea off, saying, "You must be exhausted from handling all this stress. Go home and get some rest." But Noah stands his ground and presses on. "Father, my oldest brother has been sitting around waiting as the crown prince for 30 years now. It is entirely understandable why he is getting so incredibly impatient and reckless." The emperor narrows his eyes and argues, "But if I give him the supreme status of prime minister prince, what is stopping him from using that authority to block crucial reports from ever reaching my desk?" Noah smirks and reveals the brilliant catch. To prevent that, all you have to do is pass a brand new bypass rule stating that all cabinet ministers have the absolute right to report directly to the emperor at any given time. Guys, by setting it up this way, the crown prince gets the ultra-prestigious title to stroke his ego, but he is left with absolutely zero actual executive power. The emperor instantly realizes how perfect the trap is and eagerly agrees to the plan. He gently places his hand on Noah's head and says warmly, "It really is a damn shame you were not born first. How about I give you a special reward for bringing me such an incredible proposal?"